leverage AI and change it to sip and shop. So tomorrow, one guy will come in your society, put up boxes in front of your store. When you will open it up, the Amazon boxes, and you will find all those things which you require that particular day is there in that box. That is the power of prediction. The AI is going to predict how and what you are going to eat that day. Okay, so they are leveraging AI to do that. They have already changed the worship and shop model, leveraging AI. So AI is all around us, guys. If you want to categorize it, I have got only 15 minutes, so I'll go a little faster. Okay, but I'll take questions. We can categorize the AI into two parts, where the humans still are in the loop in making decisions, and AI where we are not in the loop. AI is making a decision. Okay, where we humans are still in the loop and making decisions. There are two kinds of AI. One is known as hardwired or requested systems. These systems we have taught and put into a picture, and they are doing the job, but they don't learn further. And whereas augmented intelligence, an adaptive system, these systems, they not only do their job, what they have been taught for, they are also augmenting. I mean, they are learning further into that. Okay, so they are augmented intelligence or adaptive systems. Where we humans are not in loop is the industrial automation. You go to any factory, automated factory like Volkswagen and all in Munich, it is completely automated. Human beings are very less there. On conveyor belt, it is all robotic arms and all which are doing things like putting doors, putting the glasses, painting the car, and all those things. That is industrial automation. And autonomous intelligence is the area where AI will be doing without any human intent. And I'll give you one example quickly. That is the vehicle part, like autonomous vehicle. If you go to Google and do an artificial intelligence, you'll find out a lot of words. Actually, planning. Time. Like Microsoft has given OpenAI $1 billion to develop artificial general intelligence technology. Now, general intelligence is like us. Okay, it works on unstructured data set, whereas the narrow intelligence works on a structured data set currently. Okay, and then it learns something which it will be not able to remember it. But general intelligence, we humans learn something and we remember all our life. So that is the capability AI is reaching out to. And very soon from the AGI, the prediction is that it will go for ASI, and that is what the goal of every corporate or every large corporate or every country, developed country, is to reach to the level of artificial superintelligence, which will be equal to the collective human intelligence and all the knowledge we have gained till date. Okay, but currently AI, as I said, is playing all the roles like personal assistant, driver, writer, soldier, machine operator. Okay, and this is world has woken up to this fact. This is also being leveraged in applied AI, we call it. AGI is our innovation leader, but applied AI is already climbing up on the slope of enlightenment, and this is being touted to change the world completely. Okay, that level which they have reached today is an unsupervised learning, that is the machine learning, or GPT-3, which has been trained on 147 billion parameters now. And actually, the tout is, or you can say the way we can represent it, you give one word and he can write the whole book. So AI has reached to that, or it has started coming to a level where a one-part learning, you give him one part, okay, and it can decipher 95 every human digital handwritten recognition. So you write 0 to 9, anyone on this, and AI will be able to tell you it's a 0 or it is 7 or it is 9. Now AI has moved to also to the level, we call it a federated learning, where your data will be still private to you, but AI will learn out of it and it will pass on that learning to a centralized AI. So that is the part which will be there. Not least, look at AlphaGo and AlphaZero. AlphaGo was able to defeat Carl Sagan. Actually, that's the guy Vidal, who was the world champion of Go. He was defeated by AlphaGo, the Google AI. And later time, possibility of a human, Vidal was defeated. It was around 4%. But as Google developed AlphaZero, and that learned from AlphaGo. It never learned from any human being. And it created an information of 1,000 years of human knowledge of learning or playing Go in 40 days. And the percentile or the percentage from it is now 0%. We can win from it. Level of AI paradise is today. So this gentleman is across everywhere. It is all across everywhere. If you look from industry perspective, and I will focus only on the healthcare part of it, quickly on pharmaceutical and all, you lose the forecasting is probably the one part of the use case. Medical industry is bridging a lot. Discover new trends and anomalies. Okay, that is they are looking at predictive analytics and strategic optimization are some of the aspects in pharmaceutical industry. In healthcare, if you look at process unstructured is where currently AI is being leveraged by healthcare a lot. But there are other areas like strategic optimization and predictive analytics where they are also leveraged. Okay. So now comes the topic, specifically in healthcare. Healthcare and pharmaceutical industry are leveraging AI a lot. COVID disease management specifically. There are multiple areas AI has been breaking it from early diagnosis of therapy, development of vaccines, curbing spread of infection, reducing the burden from caregivers. So these are some of the areas which is AI has been specific in the current epidemic, which is ongoing, and we guys are at home, lockdown conditions. Look at the prediction and tracking. Blue Dart has been able to predict 8 months earlier than the WHO that how this disease is going to take over the world. Okay, and who actually announced Blue Dart announced earlier, and this and it developed for earlier disease like actually, and this particular application was developed, and it was under development, and they were the first who actually looked at, and that's an AI-based prediction tool, and it's a SaaS application, and it uses big data, NLP and ML, and it looks after the data across public health organizations, social media, ticketing industry, livestock health reports, population demographics, and able to predict which disease is coming and how it is going to impact the world. So that is where AI is being leveraged, right? I think it's going to become more powerful and more predictive, and government and UN organizations or United Nations organizations, they're going to depend upon these kind of tools like Blue Dart and HPAP more and more. Okay, and it has proved its effectiveness. On contact tracing, I'm already using Arogya Setu. I mean, everyone in India at least are using Arogya Setu. But other tool sets like AI for COVID, they are not only tracking it, but they are also helping us in if you're using a wearable or a mobile phone and you are coughing. So that coughing can be identified quickly by AI. That is it something and which is a COVID impact? If it is a COVID impact, it can immediately inform you. Or if you are connected to a healthcare organization or a health giver organization, it can also quickly bring your doctor so that the kind of a support. And this is an app so you can actually go ahead and deploy it. So these kind of diagnosis of respiratory diseases or other symptoms will become possible and becoming possible through the wearable. And that is how this contact tracing will become more and more important. So we can save people who are not impacted and people who are impacted. Give a warning and put them into quarantine. Them to be in quarantine before disease is actually curtailed or curled out of you over a period of time, as it takes the injection period it has. Early diagnosis, this is where is being leveraged a lot now. I was just talking to um, one of the gentlemen, and he actually input that yes, they are looking using high resolution camera to look at you on in your mouth and go down to the level where they can identify the virus, the COVID virus or mRNA COVID virus, and give you an immediate diagnostic that yes, you are having COVID or not. Similarly, we at a wiki, we are working with XVision, and I think Dr. Sandeep Raj is there with us. He has been instrumental in developing an application which actually looks at your X-ray and analyzes and tells us that are you infected by COVID or not, or if you are infected by COVID, what kind of severity impact you have, how much percentage you are impacted, the moderate or how severe it is. Okay, so that is the analytics is spreading, and this can be a great help. We have just launched this software. We call it COVID. It can read your X-ray and it can read your high resolution CT scan too. Okay, and give you the accuracy of this is around 93%, which is amazing. Okay, it has already been testing into hospitals like AIIMS and RML New Delhi, and they have been proud with this software actually. So we are also pushing that, bringing those technologies, but there are a lot of other technologies which is coming in and early diagnosis of COVID-19, and so that the right intervention by medical practitioners can be provided to the infected. On monitoring of COVID-19 cases, critical setting, that is very critical, and I think patient condition monitoring, AI is being leveraged, how much impact, what oxygen, how much oxygen, what kind of other parameters, like your vital statistics and clinical parameters, they can be monitored. They can be, AI can do a condition monitoring of that, raise alerts quickly, and help save more lives. So that is where AI is also working upon, and this trend is going to become more pronounced in coming times. More and more applications will help healthcare professionals, doctors, in saving more lives, which will be automated by AI. So there are a lot of other areas like protein structure prediction, like AlphaFold algorithm of Google DeepMind employed DRN, resonance predicting protein structures for membrane protein, 3A, NSP2, NSP4, and all, which will actually activate the protein structure prediction, and it helps us develop the medication much more faster. So this is where AI is playing a very big role and very important role in vaccines and drug development process. So development of therapeutic vaccine and enzymes, that is where I was just talking about. So it has accelerated the pace by deriving useful data for drug repurposing or drug repositioning by screening properties. A lot of companies like Benevolent AI, Inculpate, Identify.ai, they have been intervening in not only pharmaceutical AI vaccine identification, but also in therapeutics, like using traditional medication to also fight with the COVID impact or this virus impact also, and how to increase our immunity and all. And we have more, so these kind of genomics is also where AI is proving to be very beneficial, and bringing the capability here to us, the prediction capability. The most important, I also look at the curbing and spread of misinformation, and we know it because we have been watching in India how the second wave has impacted us, and what kind of misinformation we have been watching on social media, be it on Facebook, Twitter, and everywhere. And this creates a lot of fear, perception of fear in public. And I think AI can work with us here in combating this misinformation, provide us correct information, identify trends and sentiment analysis, provide information regarding the origin of false information. We can go to the origin and curtail it there, and also provide a clear picture of recovery rates, accessibility, and availability of healthcare, like our oxygen, beds in hospitals and all, it could have been a great help. And I think that is something which we need to focus our energies upon to see that the third wave or any other pandemic tomorrow comes in, we'll be able to fight it in a much more better way, as it is predicted. In diagnosis, treatment, symptom identification, therapeutics, traditional medication, and all AI can be a great help to us. Actually, we need to adopt a three-pronged approach on testing, isolation, and contact tracing, and leveraging AI is very, very important for us. What we are doing, Viti, quickly, we are intervening into infrastructure development, working with organizations like IIIT, Bhagalpur, other universities and IITs to develop AI, to develop projects, to develop product lines like we just about COVID and other products which we are working upon, and also help them and putting up an infrastructure in place will augment AI EFT technologies, AI emerging and foundational technologies. We have launched, we are working on educational and training intervention, courses for B2C, B2B, for businesses, for like postgraduate diploma program in AI and data sciences, or AI and design innovation, and other skill development initiatives we have led. The idea is AI should be for all, and we are intervening to provide intelligent automation, enhance the trust on AI, and the judgment which is based on AI should be leveraged more and more. And that is where, and more enhanced interaction which AI can provide, we can bring it in. We are doing a lot of projects in from healthcare to finance, technology, and agriculture. Do join us. You can hit us on LinkedIn. You can hit us on Twitter, and we are working with community in the academia and industry. So come and join us. Thank you. I hope we have not taken more time than allocated to me.
No, sir. Yeah, sir. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. So now, moving ahead to Mr. Darshan Dave.
Okay, thank you, David. And Kundan, thank you so much. I think that was very, very, I would say, insightful. What I'm going to do, again, it's an honor for me to be on this panel, honor for me to be a part of with the organization. So hope you guys can see the presentation.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So I'm based in Boston. Again, good evening, good morning, based on where you are. We talked about the proliferation of AI in everyday life. Kundan talked about some amazing use cases. What I'm going to do is in the next few minutes, just walk you through some live examples of how AI has been in action, specifically in tackling COVID, and some of the interesting use cases I've seen around me. Boston is a hub of innovation, and I'll be hoping that, through this, you will get some insight about how AI is actually used in practice in the industry setting as well. Okay. So we all know this is one of the worst calamity that has hit, humankind. And unlike the previous calamities of the Black Plague, bubonic plague, we had the flu of 1815. This time we have an ally, and that is AI. And we learned certain use cases. Kundan talked about misinformation sharing and a lot of other. There are many, many use cases of how AI is helping us manage this pandemic, saving lives, and doing some amazing work and setting the stage for us to handle future pandemics as they come along. There are certain terms that have become a norm, like flattening the curve, right? Or talking about contact tracing or social distancing. This verbology did not exist pre-COVID. The whole models, the prediction models, like the Blue Dot, BCG, Boston Consulting Group, about this time last year, they came up with country-wise waves, models, prediction analytics, to a granular level of detail, just to predict how it would impact the global supply chain. And if you overlay the way things have been happening today, you would very much see that it is exactly the way that AI models had predicted. All of us look at these amazing visualizations. We can see by countries, WHO, CDC, even across India, Asia, there's a lot of these visualization predictive models that actually tell you heat maps and live information. This is exactly where AI plays a role, and of course. So I'll talk about a few of these, and how these are helping, caregivers, how these are helping COVID patients, how these are helping people going forward. Um, we, but the base of all this is data. One thing that has changed and then helped us is the amount of sharing that is happening globally. I think very early on, the entire genome sequence of this virus was made open source. That was one reason that a lot of countries, a lot of organizations, were able to come up with, vaccines on their own. They didn't have to depend on a single entity to create vaccines, right? So this is where these data sets, when you apply machine learning, deep learning, neural networks, and a variety of other things, help in a lot of phenomenal ways, from bioinformatics to trends and variant prediction, to different mining technologies. Now, those in the medical field will know that early on there was no guidelines in terms of how to treat this disease. So there was a lot of, I would say, trial and error being done. But in the medical field, there's a lot of journals people refer to in terms of the near cases, the near about methods that they can be used. So in mining medical journals, extracting this information in a very short duration of time, AI played a big role very early on, giving this medical practitioners a kind of body of knowledge to come up with the standard operating practices. That became a way of going forward in terms of, okay, how quickly can you put this people on ventilators, or ventilators help, and artificial breathing helps. So a lot of other information that went into, and the data science of AI and machine learning was at the core of all these. And that is, I believe, is the core science and the data sets that help us to get to the next level. We talked about the X-rays and vision, not only detecting, but also improving the efficiency of, the imaging and radiography and other spectrometer techniques. AI helps to kind of, reinforce that learning very quickly. We talked about it, and we are going to see a wonderful demo by Dr. Sandeep, so I won't go into more detail about this. But let me talk of the next use cases. I think Kundan talked about federated learning. In fact, NVIDIA did this in the, General Brigham and Women's Hospital. This is based in Boston. The most important part of that is it lets you extract patient data, but still do a lot of learning. And they in fact embedded the hardware and software into it, and this helped them to kind of come up with a lot of early detection right from the early stages of COVID to present day. And this is currently being used in a lot of research and community hospitals, and they are extending this to oncology, that is the Cancer Research Center as well. This was a fantastic use case that came up from MIT. They came up with a device called Emerald, where it can actually see through walls. It can, so your caregivers or healthcare workers do not have to be in close proximity. Again, let's realize that very early on, people did not know what was the exact amount of social distance, what caused the transmission. Was it airborne? Was it fluid borne? Does it spread by touch? There were a lot of misinformation around it, or I would say ignorance around it. So they came up with this device, which was driven by AI, that could monitor patient or people who were quarantined in the wards without caregivers having to come in personal contact with them, and still be able to measure heat maps, their breathing patterns, their heartbeats, and all this vital completely remotely. So this is, an example of how AI and IoT, which is medical devices, can come into play. Now, this has set the stage for a lot of other treatments going forward. So in a lot of essence, the innovation that came out of treatments for AI is setting the stage for us to kind of help us with other diseases and other pandemics as well. Home kits, rapid antigen test. You can actually do a test, snap it on your phone, and you get a result in minutes. So a lot of these kits are now available. You can actually buy it off the shelf in a pharmacy, or it can be shipped to your home, and you can actually do your COVID testing. Earlier we had to kind of spend hours in a queue, in a line, to kind of line up to do all these different tests, and you would get a result in about 3 days, 4 days on. This was again, all these big data analytics that you could do, and putting that into a very small device, and then being able to use your smartphone on everyday device to kind of give you result on the fly. We'll talk about a few other use cases. This was an interesting use case. I worked with a startup. Early on, CDC had a lot of guidelines in terms of the density of certain population, the capacity, the real-time monitoring, cleaning stations that you need to have in any settings. It could be an office, it could be in public transportation, it could be in a grocery store, for example. So if, let's say, somebody had to go there and had to see the real-time, how many people are there, am I at risk or not risk, this used your installed security cams, which are actually everywhere in every stores nowadays, and overlay that with facial recognition, AI, ML, on a SaaS platform, and in real time you could actually monitor not only the health and the safety of the employees, but also the people visiting you, and you could actually make a decision on the app to say, oh, looks like it's gone above the CDC guidelines or below the CDC guidelines, and can I attend the store or can I not attend the store? So this was an amazing use case. Now it's being used for a lot of other purposes as well. One other thing is in the treatment of COVID, there was a cocktail of drugs being used. Now we have remdesivir and a lot of other stuff, but to be able to look at, a set of drug sets and do 19 billion plus computational models, actually Facebook and a German institute in Munich, came up with this, CPA, compositional, perturbation auto encoder, which is based on AI. Within minutes, it does a generic approach, and this was only possible through AI. Now they are using this technology to do personalized medicine to treat a lot of other critical care diseases or intensive care diseases and so on. So this is becoming a norm. In fact, if you see the link, there is a nice paper on this. There are nice videos that explain it. And they've made it completely open source. So imagine the kind of support the life sciences teams will have going forward. So we talked about how quickly this was a record time from a disease detection to a vaccine. Right from India, China, Russia, Germany, UK, as well as the US, they came up with vaccines in record time and almost near simultaneously. This was absolutely not possible without AI. We talked about protein modeling, we talked about 3D modeling, we talked about how the virus binds, what molecules kind of impact, and how that would impact the body. I'm simplifying it, but this is like a humongous amount of permutation combination that you need to do. All of this simulation, there's a concept of a digital twin. We won't get into that. You could do the entire simulations digitally before actually getting into the clinical trials per se. And that is how all these mRNA vaccines, which were there actually in research for about 5 years, they could come up with an actual prototype vaccine pretty quickly. So, a big, part of this is AI. Could not have been possible without AI. Which gets me to the last part, right? Getting this into human trials, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Now, whoever is familiar with this knows this is typically can take anything from 3, 5 to even 10 years sometimes. The biggest challenge is finding the right cohort or the right amount of people. Who should you come in for this? How do you monitor them? Now, you could not have them all in a place and kind of inject medicines because of the remoteness of Hawaii. This had to be done. So right from selection of the patients to monitoring them through wearables and IoT devices to extracting information on their everyday vitals using NLP and text mining and a lot of other things, we could speed up the human trials pretty rapidly. And that is how we went from phase 1 to actually an approval from FDA or any other government bodies where all of us could get vaccinated and the dosage and everything was done. So all this was AI at play. Finally, I'll end this by saying that, we are now better prepared for future pandemics, right? We have AI and data sciences, we have automation and robotics, we have, IoT devices, we have quantum computing. I believe that all of these combined and the level of sharing we have achieved, we have all come together because this pandemic has not left any country, any continent, any human, in isolation. So we've all come together. There's a democratization of data. There's a shared learning. And I believe in future pandemics we'll be better prepared, and the life expectancy will only grow from here. So that's, I hope you found this interesting. There are many, many, many use cases. I chose a quite few, but I hope you found this, and thank you so much again. And back to you, Divya.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. And now we'll move to Dr. Sandeep Raj.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you the other speakers for providing me the opportunity. So, sharing my PPT. So, whether my PPT is shared or not, whether it is visible.
Yeah, it is visible,
Yes, sir. We can
Yes.
see.
Yeah.
but we cannot see you, Dr. Sandeep.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
now we are able to see you too. Okay, thank you.
So, thank you, Kundan sir, Darshan, and Divya ma'am for giving me this opportunity to be a speaker of this webinar. So today we are going to discuss on the role of AI in tackling the COVID-19. And this is my presentation. I am Dr. Sandeep Raj, Assistant Professor in the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering at IIT Bhagalpur. And during this pandemic, we are with certain questions like, can the AI stop with the coming wave of this pandemic? How to advance your career in AI and machine learning, detailed information on BT and IIIT Bhagalpur programs. We have we have launched certain programs for this the upliftment of the AI domain and the opportunities for the AI professionals across different domains and the implementation process for the Covisant software, which is developed by IIIT Bhagalpur and is screening the COVID-19 patients. So the first question we are up with is the can AI stop the upcoming wave of this pandemic? So before going into the deep details, I would like to discuss on the brief what is AI. AI is known as the artificial intelligence, and in which we are trying to put the intelligence inside machines. A very raw definition which we taught in our class to the students is like we are trying to put intelligence into machines either in form of some kind of a software or in some kind of a hardware, and a lot of applications has been given by the other speakers like Kundan sir and Darshan sir, like in the field of medicine, in the military applications, IoT, and there are several other application domains. But with the world is still gap of the COVID-19 technology, this technology has seen a certain resurgence. Many researchers have been working in the domain either in predicting the AI data across the different world, across the different countries. You can see the number of deaths, the increasing number of COVID infected patients, district wise, area wise. Uh, you can just predict what is the growth of the disease. After a few months later, we are also discussing about the upcoming wave, the third wave coming to the India. So in fact, if the reports are to be believed, the AI has detected the COVID virus last year. The Toronto-based Blue Dot uses machine learning to monitor the spread of the contagious diseases around the world, and the startup flagged an unusual spike in pneumonia cases in Wuhan on December 31st. Weeks after the official announcement were made that the COVID-19 has emerged into a pandemic. So if we are dealing with AI, the prime question is how we can deal with the pandemics. So AI can help a lot in that, but the main use of AI in this pandemic can be considered as nothing can stop the any kind of pandemic to come into our lives. But yes, with the use of AI, we can limit the effectiveness of the pandemic and we can prevent through this prediction. So many companies today are aggressively working in the domain, either in data mining, artificial intelligence, and the most important factor related to a good research or finding some kind of doing some kind of predictions or simulating or whatever, implementing or developing some kind of AI platforms are the the good amount of data and the quality of data which are used to develop the softwares or the hardwares which we are doing to develop. So the second question is for the how to advance your career in the AI and machine learning. So if you are a newcomer or if you are new to the domain, you have to start with the mathematics and you have to take all kind of courses related to the machine learning, deep learning, Python programming, the part of the mathematics involved in all this kind of all this kind of courses. And if you are already a programmer and you have some basic knowledge about the C language, then you can directly go to the algorithms implementation and you can start programming. Either you can, the best part will be to do the programming in the Python because it has enriched with the several kind of libraries and the different applications or the specific jobs in AI are the machine learning researchers, AI engineers, data mining and analysis, machine learning engineer, data scientist, business intelligence developer. Many people are doing the research in AI, so you can be an AI scholar. And there are several other examples other than the self-driving car, the predictive maintenance. The AI has very wide applications in military application, also geostationary satellites. We are doing the image processing and then we are doing several kind of predictions and we are trying to identify the areas there. So getting motivated from the applications of the AI, the IIIT Bhagalpur in collaboration with VT Research Foundation, we have started different courses and IBM is also there in collaboration and we have developed different courses and the admission process, the detail of the administration process can be found on the website of the IIIT Bhagalpur and the VT Research Foundation also. The different name of the courses are the Python for the data analytics, machine learning with Python, deep learning with Python, data analytics for machine learning with R language, AI master analyst program, PG diploma in data science. All the courses and the details of the paper and how long it will go up to 800 hours, how many projects are involved, real-time experiments, everything is mentioned on the institute website and one can go, the interested students or the persons can go on the website of the institute and register there for to join these courses with us. So the opportunities for the AI professionals across different domains. So there are various kinds of jobs in the AI domain. In the medicine part, in the modern age, AI causes the threat to the humankind by changing and saving lives. And it is not planned to replace clinical judgment and also serves the purpose to enhance the human interaction. Further, it changes the game with the applications like decision support systems, image analysis. One can develop PDAs for human patients. PDAs are the personal development assistants and depending on the patient requirements. AI helps to reduce the variation and duplicate testing decision support system. The AI can also be used in the health in the domain. AI helps to collect the patient data by text messaging, chatbots, ask patient questions regarding the systems, and one can assist the patient by developing such kind of chat boxes and various kind of applications used by the patients. The opportunities are in the domain of the robotics and in the engineering fields. The robotics deal with the creation of efficient robots, and these robots are nowadays working in the medical side also. They are performing the operations in operation theaters. Robotics perform repetitive tasks and activities. So they are widely used today for implementation of the either they are working in the industries, factories, medical, defense, and learning purposes. Depending the engineering, depending on the level of skills, the engineer pertaining to different kind of jobs, they are either from the study and transform data science prototypes, research and implement appropriate AI ML algorithms. They can develop different tools for different serving different applications. And finally, the IIIT Bhagalpur has developed OVision software. And OVision software is a screening software developed by IIIT Bhagalpur in 2020 in the previous year, which processes the images of the chest x-rays of patients and detects the presence of COVID-19 virus or the part of the chest which is getting infected by the disease in a person. The software classifies the input based on the three categories, namely the COVID-19, non-COVID-19, and the normal categories. The validation of the software is conducted at AIIMS Patna and RML New Delhi. The approval of the software by the concerned agency of the India is currently pending with the ICMR, the Indian Council of Medical Research. The software is secure, means it reads the MAC address of the platform in which it is installed and it is license based. And the report generated by the software can be received instantly through messages or emails. The execution time of the software is very less, means whenever we upload an X-ray on the software, within few seconds the software is able to give the reports and hence it can be used to screen a large number of patients within short time. Regarding the implementation of the software, the institute is in consultation with the VT Research Foundation, and in consultation with the VT Research Foundation, we are trying to gradually deploy our softwares in the form of either in the remote centers or in form of means that we are just about to deploy the softwares across the different channels. And this is the basic method, the block diagram of the method in which the input chest x-rays are taken and they are pre-processed through some kind of filters to highlight the regions of the infections of the chest, and then after some training on testing of the model is done, and then after the output of the software is trying to get detected from the developed model, and the proposed software is trained over more than 10,000 digital check traces which are overly open access. Once the trained model is developed, the software was ready for testing and it is based on GUI-based platform, graphical user interface. To run the software, there is an executable file and the GUI opens. The software is completely developed in the Python environment and it works on any i3-based processor or 4 GB RAM. A simple computer is required for the working of this kind of software. The proposed software is efficient in terms of accuracy and computational complexity, and the software should be considered as a primary screening tool and serve as the decision support system to a doctor. The software will reduce the burden of the RT-PCRs across the nation and further will reduce the cost of initial screening of the patients. The software can be deployed at remote locations where RT-PCRs are not available and the results are delayed as per the recommendations of the WHO, World Health Organization. The software can be deployed for symptomatic patients as per the recommendations of WHO. And since the software runs on a general purpose computer, so no additional infrastructure is required for the installation of the deployment of this software. Only the X-ray machines or the X-ray images are required, and we do not require any special kind of characteristic by specialists are not required to operate this software. So that's all from my side. Thank you all. Thank you for joining me in this webinar. Next to Divya ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay. So let me conclude it. Our AI experts were sharing their point of views on how AI can tackle the wave of this COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, so we have shown so many tools and techniques here to resolve these situations. They have enlightened through these use cases and examples that AI is a world protector. We can develop, yeah.
Divya, there are a lot of questions people do have.
Yeah. After that, I'll ask. After that.
Okay.
Yes. So we can develop AI softwares to correlate the consequences between the healthcare and AI. We have seen the uses of Covision software also. So let me go to the question answer session. Should I open it up or should I ask the question?
You can ask one by one. Whosoever has raised the hand, you can just take their name and ask the question. I believe that's the right way.
Okay. Youngster Nitesh Kumar. Hello.
They will prioritize the questions and see that which question need to be and read that question.
Okay, fine. Can AI help in detecting black fungus? It's for Mr. Darshan Dave.
Right. So, the black fungus, absolutely it can. Technically, there is no constraints in terms of it being able to associate or kind of identify a regular fungus or a black fungus or specific to what COVID is. It could do in two ways. One is from the imaging and the others like X-rays and any other imaging that you may have. Others, it could be from the actual samples or other tests that you may want to do. It can kind of detect through that as well. So absolutely, it basically, if you strip down, the jargon around AI, it all boils down to the learnings it can do, or observed learning, or supervised or unsupervised learnings, and the data set that is available. So short answer, yes, absolutely, it can.
Any other question, Divya?
Yeah, I have. During this pandemic, not only COVID patient suffers, but all the country are. Can't we stop COVID from spreading fast? Dr. Sandeep?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the question. This is a very good question, but I want to just highlight one point that the spreading of the disease cannot be stopped by AI, what I believe. We have to be following the guidelines of the government. See, there are certain applications in which AI can help us to either predict or there are certain limitations also. So we have to see for that. So we can estimate or we can predict the number of infections, but particularly the role of AI, it can allow us to prevent or the limit of the effectiveness of the disease. But to stop the spread of the disease, we have to follow the guidelines, what I believe.
I think, just to add, sorry,
I
just to add, I think as we get more and more vaccinated, you won't have more host bodies left for the virus to jump. That is the one and the only way. If you look at immunologists across the world, that's what they are recommending. The herd immunity does not come from more people having the virus. It comes from more people having the vaccines. And this is the medical fraternity talking. And I agree with whatever Dr. Sandeep said. I would just add that as more people get vaccinated, it will stop spreading. Go ahead, Karan.
Right. So I can add, Dr. Sandeep was providing the input into the AI implementation, specifically from spreading these viruses. It is not a unique virus. The world has been plagued by a lot of other viruses, Spanish flu, SARS earlier, yellow fever and all those. And this is not going to stop. This is going to go on coming to the human being. We have to develop a technique to understand it, and like COVID, which is a something in nature and spreads pretty fast. AI has been leveraged, like China has been leveraging data, looking at all the CCTV camera, the surveillance. They have used the surveillance, camera-based surveillance, to do a contact tracing and quarantine people so that they don't spread further. Okay. So these kind of techniques, we have to leverage it more. We have to perfect the art of it. And see that obviously the other aspect of drug discovery, developing quickly the vaccines for any these kind of viruses comes in, we need to go and doing it, and we have to quantify and implement it. AI can be quite helpful, not only identifying the spread, predict it early, but also help us in developing drugs and also help us in surveillance monitoring and all. It can, three-dimensionally, human beings can be covered and by AI in safeguarding it and elongating our life. Thank you. And a healthy life, actually.
Okay, so we have another question. We have a beginner, So he wants to know that how to start learning artificial intelligence.
So Sandeep, he can take that question much more. He's an academic teacher as well. Right.
On a lighter note, I can suggest him to join our course at IIT Bhagalpur. Since we have collaborated with VT Research Foundation. But other than this, you can go for learning the Python language. You can start learning the basic mathematics in the statistics part, how to take care of the data, in which kind of data you want to work. Either you want to work in signals, images, or the imaging part, or in the video part. So you have to have the basic knowledge of the data, what kind of data you want to do the experiments, which kind of algorithms are required, what is the particular application in which you want to pursue the experiments. So you have to have a clear idea about the aim of the experiment, the kind of data you are trying to use it, the basic mathematics and the algorithm introduced, and finally the language, the fourth part, the language in which you want to implement the algorithm to target that particular aim of the experiment. Either you are processing, predicting, or whatever you are trying to do. So these are the four basic things: information about the data, the language in which you are to play, the basic mathematics, and the, yeah. Yes, sir, please.
And Sandeep, absolutely. But you should also keep in mind that it is not only the theoretical part of it. You need to also see that these courses provide you opportunity to make your hands dirty, do some projects, because
sir.
actually enhance your knowledge, actually consolidate your knowledge. Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So I think we are beyond our time now, Divya.
Right, sir. So just ending up. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, guys, to joining us. So we have got so many precious information from our AI experts. So have a nice day. Enjoy.
Okay, thank you, Divya. It's a really good session.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.